where you are. Yes, sir.
This is Appetite for Distortion.
Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 351. My name is Brando. Today we're going to be talking to world-acclaimed keyboardist Derek Sherinian. He's in Sons of Apollo with Bumblefoot. He's toured the world with Billy Idol and Alice Cooper and played with Yngwie. I mean, this guy is just so in demand. He's played with Slash. He was in Dream Theater. So this guy is one of the best keyboardists on the planet. So let's not wait. We want to talk to him about his new album entitled Vortex, coming out July 1st on Inside Out Music. Derek, how are you? Hey, Derek, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the podcast. Where are you zooming in from, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in Burbank, California.
Okay, not bad, not bad. Is that where you made Vortex? Like, how long did you work on this project? Do you have a studio in near Burbank in your home?
I have a home studio, and Simon has a home studio. Simon Phillips, my collaborator, and he lives in Ojai, which is about 70 minutes from Burbank. And the two of us will just get together as much as possible, but we write it at our home studios, and then we get together and put our ideas together and develop songs and develop an album over a time. And we just have a really strong writing chemistry.
And this may be, not from me, a silly question, because I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. But I'm not a musician. You know, I don't know what it takes to write music. But you're obviously, you know, you're a legendary keyboardist. So when you write music, does it start at the keys or does it start somewhere else? Is it obvious or not?
Well, for me, I mean, since that's my instrument, anything that I stumble on is going to be from the keyboard, and I'll work it out there accordingly. And Simon, even though he's a drummer, he plays keyboards, and that's his primary instrument to write as well. So, yeah, it all starts there.
Okay, cool. Another multi, is very talented musician that is featured on this album and you've worked with before is Mr. Bumblefoot, Ron Tull. I wanted to ask because he's on, I think it's track 8. I'm looking at the track listing right now, which is just, Bumblefoot is just one of, he's not the biggest name. I hate to say it. Steve Stevens, Nuno Betancourt, Steve Lukather. I mean, it's insane, this list. But with Bumblefoot, I have to ask, because it's Appetite for Distortion. How did your friendship begin there? Did it start at Sons of Apollo, or did it start?
It started the first day of recording the Sons of Apollo album. I never had met Ron before, and he was hired in the band based on his relationship with Mike Portnoy. And the first day in the studio was the day I met Ron Tull, and we just that's a really interesting way to meet someone for the first time, but we got to know each other, and I just have the utmost respect for him as a man and as a musician. He's just fantastic across the board and a super talent. Wow.
And he's amazing. I hope I pronounced this also right. I love all the unique track titles. Aurora Australis?
Australis. There's Aurora Borealis. That's right. The northern lights up north by the North Pole. And then so we're naming the song and we needed a title, and I said, we need something huge, grand, like Aurora Borealis. And Simon says, yeah, but there's been so many things named that before. So we looked it up, and then I saw, whoa, what's this? Aurora Australis. And I go, I didn't know that they had the lights down on the southern pole. And he goes, let's go with that title. So that's where that came from.
Okay, not just bad.
They have lights down there too.
See, not just badass music and education as well.
Yes.
We get from Derek. I appreciate it.
Yes.
I want to keep up before we get back into the album on the 6 degrees of GNR Bacon, as I call it. Of course, Bumblefoot used to be in Guns N' Roses, and I can't believe I didn't come across this song before of yours. Shame on
Summertime.
me.
You're going to talk about Summertime. Me and Slash.
I am. How did that happen? What a fun song with you and Billy Idol. How did that happen?
Well, it started off with what happened? I was on tour with Billy Idol, and I started jamming that piano part to Summertime, and then Billy recognized what I was playing. He goes, "Oh, I love that song." I go, "That was one of the first songs I remember as a 3-year-old that I used to love that as a kid." My parents used to say, and I said, "How we should record it one day." He goes, "Yeah, we should." And so then when it came time to do a record, we recorded. I asked him, "Well, hey, would you still record the vocal?" He goes, "Let's do it." And so he recorded a thing. I go, "Wow, this is fantastic." And I go, "Who can we get on guitar?" And he goes, "Well, what about Slash?" And I said, "Of course, that'd be awesome." Right. So I think he put a call into Slash, and then all of a sudden, boom, we had a band. And what's awesome is that the opening scene, if you look at the bass drum, it says Derek Sherinian and the Rebellious Yellers. And so I think I have a pretty impressive backup band in that video.
Yeah, right. I would like to see a reunion, if anything.
I would too. Why not?
And how fun was that video shoot? That was just a fun.
Oh, it was great. It was really great. It was at Mates, and it was just a fun time. We had a great time making that video.
It really comes off, and it's the same way. I mean, that you're just that kind of musician and artist and person, I assume, and I'm learning right now that it just comes through with your music. So to go back, we got Bumblefoot, and I'm assuming when you were working with Billy Idol, is that how you became friendly with Steve Stevens? He's on 2 tracks, I believe, on your new album.
Yes, I met Steve in 2002 when I joined Billy Idol, and Steve's been on 3 records of mine now, and not only as a player but as a co-writer too. Steve is fantastic, and I love working with him, and he's always invited to play on my stuff.
Right on. And what about, because I just want to go through, because it's not just you. I mean, they're big heavy hitters. Steve Lukather is a legend. When was the first time you met Steve?
I met Luke in the year 2000 on my Inertia album. That's when I first started working with Simon Phillips, and Simon suggested that we bring Luke in. And I said, "Wow, that'd be amazing." And the next day, Luke came down and did his thing, and we've just become, great friends. Luke has played on 6 of my albums so far. And he came up with Joe Bonamassa. They drove up to Ojai, up to Simon's studio to record on the song Key Lime Blues. And that was fantastic, having both those cats in the studio at the same time.
It's what's so impressive, I think, when an artist like you, or as I mentioned, Slash before, that has worked with so many different people, I think it's a testament of who they are. So I'm curious, what do you think it is about you that why people want to work with you, and including, I don't know if this is a 2-part question, but Yngwie, who doesn't usually like working with people, but he likes working with you, I imagine.
It's because I bring out the best in their playing when I play, and it doesn't matter who they are, their style. That's just what I do. I have a way of bringing out the best of their talent.
What about anything, the personality? Is there a missing part of your personality we don't know? Do you do tricks that people like?
I've been told that I'm annoying at times, so I don't know if it's anything from the personality. I think it's just the way I play music and my take on the art form.
Okay, fair enough. And speaking of, I guess, the art form, how much has that changed for you since the pandemic? I'm talking to you now. Actually, this morning I was at our radio studios in Tribeca producing the morning show, but now I'm back home at my home studio in Queens, which I did not have prior to the pandemic. So it's changed for me. How has it changed for you with this new world?
It's changed for me that when touring stopped, it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do to make a living? Because there's no shows.
Right.
And so it forced me to really build my session business in the studio, and when I'm not making my own records, I'm playing on other people's records constantly, and it's turned into an awesome business where people all over the world are sending me tracks to play on, and I have all my rigs set up. I mean, all my killer keyboard collection in my studio, and I can pick and choose, whatever I want to play on. There's some amazing music that comes into me, and I'm getting an opportunity to work with some really cool, different new international artists. So that's been the main thing that's changed, is that my studio business is really jacked up.
And
great.
It is great, because actually one of my listeners, he goes by it's his name, Larry Paul. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. I'm on the radio, I guess. Cusick. He's from Ohio, and he played on a song with you, if you recall, "Hell Ride to Heaven" by Quiet the Horses.
I remember something. Yeah, I remember that title. I don't remember how the song goes, but I remember that.
Okay.
I played on it.
Yeah, he says that.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, we can sue him.
No, I did. I did play on that. I just don't remember what I played or how it goes, but I remember that title. Cool.
All right. Well,
are they happy?
Oh, he was so happy. That's why people were excited that I said that you were coming on, including another listener, Stefan. He said, fantastic keyboardist. Saw him live with Billy Idol years ago on Exit Festival. So,
okay, cool.
People love you. That's why. But if people want to hear the interview, they want to work with you. It's not just you're playing, bringing the best. I don't know. You're a good guy. So I really appreciate this time. I hope we get to do this again.
Oh, I hope so too. I really appreciate you having me on, and have a fantastic day.
You as well. Thank you, Derek. And thank you, the AFD show listener. I've said, and I try not to repeat myself too much on the podcast, because we have on one side the loyal AFD show Bad Apple that's been here since episode 1, which I am always baffled by and eternally grateful for, but new listeners all the time. So forgive me if I repeat myself with this, but the conversation always continues in between the broadcasts. So if you follow on social media, you knew this past Sunday as I'm recording this. So June 19th, Father's Day, was actually also my wedding day. I was as eager for my wedding day as I was to share this Photoshop picture. I asked G Hall, who I mentioned before did the logo of this podcast. Perhaps you've seen some really cool graphics on the new highlights and clips that I share. At the end of a short clip that I put up on YouTube, you might see or you hear like a shotgun, and it goes to this cool smoky version of my logo. That's G Hall. He did the Izzy Stradlin documentary. So I asked him, like, hey, my wedding's coming up. Can you Photoshop my face and my wife's face into like a video still from November Rain? And he did. So just amazing. And you know what? So overwhelmed. I said this on social media. And again, sorry for repeating myself, but I got to say it on the podcast. Here I am thinking I'm just a stranger talking about Guns N' Roses. It's been a really fun ride doing it, I think, for 6 years now, this podcast, getting to talk to all sorts of people, rock stars, but all sorts of people. You are rock stars too, all across the world, Guns N' Roses fans, and you really made me feel loved on that day. So I posted, if you remember the November Rain video, where it's just like a quick shot of Axl and Stephanie at the altar, and Slash is giving the priest, sorry, I'm a Jew, so I don't know the technical term, father, the ring. So you're going to see my face and Shauna's face superimposed, photoshopped. And I love how G was still able to Photoshop Axl's long hair and bangs over my bald head. Just absolutely brilliant. So while I stayed away from my phone for most of the day, of course, as you do on your wedding day, periodically I would check, and all of you really made that day even more special. Just thinking again, I'm a stranger talking about GNR, but you made me feel not that way. Then I'm not getting choked up. I actually had a hairball just there. So I guess I wanted to take time to say thank you. It would take way too much time to thank all of you individually on here, but I'm pretty sure I did so on social media, just liking or commenting in every single one of yours. But I do want to give a couple special shout outs he's from the band Velvet Chains. He's been on the podcast before, Niles. And, he was just nice enough. Hey, do you have a registry? And I posted it, and he made a very insanely generous gift, which he doesn't need to do. The gift is just having you guys be a part of honestly, it's my life. This podcast has become my life. And you know how much this podcast and Guns N' Roses has become a part of my life. So I've spoken about, especially on Twitter, and I found out that many of you have involved Guns N' Roses songs in your big day. I mean, especially with November Rain. Like, is that cool to play at your wedding? Especially when you know how November Rain ends. She dies. We don't know how. Was it acid rain? What happened? We just know half her face was covered. That's the mystery. Oh, and by the way, quick sidebar, but I think it was Vice. I have want nothing to do with clickbait. I know I'm friendly with people like Brad from Alternative Nation, and he's always been kind to me. But that's just never going to be my thing. Clickbait. I mean, it's just sad when you see it in like bigger outlets like Vice saying that they figured out who jumped in the cake. November. No, they didn't. They figured out like who it wasn't, which we've known all along. It is pretty ridiculous how often Ricky Rackman has to say that he was not the guy in the cake. But I think I got the closest with just a random fan commenting, and the name escapes me now. He just, some name you've never heard of. He was apparently like a local rocker or singer kind of guy, and he was an extra for that day. And I will give credit. They've taken the ball and run with it. It's the 1992 VMAs, the Nothing Lasts Forever podcast. I think they've tried to hire a private investigator to find that person who jumped into the cake. So, no one knows who jumped into the cake. It's a lie. It's a lie. I don't even know. How can I say that I know when just some random listener on Twitter commented saying that he knows? I mean, it sounded good. But that happened a couple years ago when I spoke about it at that time. So, yeah, involving November Rain in your wedding, is it cliche? Is it not? I don't think so. I mean, it's such a beautiful song. Many of you have mentioned that whether it be just the piano part, or I've seen videos where, like, the groom is playing guitar and playing the solo as his wife comes down. I didn't do anything like that cool, I think. The only things, just before I set up like how I was married, as far as like music, and it wasn't my idea. I go like my wife, she's like, what song should we come into the reception? She's like, Welcome to the Jungle. Sure. How can I argue with that? Though we had to end the night with Dave Matthews. I forget if it was Trippin' Billy's or I don't even know. They all sound the same to me. What's the one? Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we all may die. Is that Trippin' Billy's? I don't know. As Marching was also on there. A couple. There was some whatever. Not too much Dave. GNR. I did put in Mr. Brownstone for my youngest brother, Cameron. It was nice that my three younger brothers all were there, because a couple of them are not in New York anymore. And it's more GNR talk, and this is why it's not me just talking about myself. This is involving Guns N' Roses and how much they've incorporated into my life, and they've infected. Oh, that was an accidental slip up of the word, but I'm going to keep it. Infected and affected their way of life. So my youngest brother Cameron, he's like, I've been listening to some more Guns N' Roses. I really like them, and he's young. He's like 26. Sad that I have to think about it. I'm the oldest of four. We're all 4 years apart. You did the math. I've been awake since 3 a.m. today. You may have saw, again, if you follow us on social media, I did the morning show on Q104.3, where every time, I guess producing, but every time they play Guns N' Roses, like this morning was Don't Cry, Jim Kerr, Hall of Famer Jim Kerr, he's like, get ready to plug your podcast on the air. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So anyway, Cameron, he's been listening more and more. He's like, maybe you should have me on the podcast to talk about how millennials like Guns N' Roses too. I'm like, okay. But it's like, I really like that song, Mr. Brownstone. Great. I played Mr. Brownstone for him. My brother Logan, he comes up to me, and I just didn't expect this joke from him. He's like, you should get, when your next cat, you should name Izzy. Because if it ever gets lost or it's hiding around the house and you can't find it, you have a reason to go, where's Izzy? And he continues. He's like, because I know he likes GNR, but he's kind of like, just an average fan that knows the radio hits, doesn't really know much more than that. So he has no idea about the Izzy Stradlin situation. So he says, I don't even know what that means. I just see people post it all the time. And it makes sense in this situation. If you had a cat that got lost, the name it Izzy. Where's Izzy? He's like, where is he actually? Like, I want to know. I go into the whole spiel about why Izzy Stradlin is quote unquote missing. He's like, he's just living his life. He doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's it, man. He's just made one of the best records of all time and more or less pieced out. I know I'm oversimplifying there, but to the average fan, yeah. So that was cool. There was a dance remix of Sweet Child of Mine, which was cool. Obviously, I'm not too much into the dance remixes, but it was still cool to have. So anyway, the big tie-in for Guns N' Roses for me in the wedding was during the reception, and we had it in a park in Brooklyn outside. And oh, by the way, the actual reception was in a place called the Velvet. And I'm surprised I didn't play any Velvet Revolver. I kept making Velvet Revolver references. My friends who I went to go see Velvet Revolver were all there. And we were all talking about it, that it was probably the best show of our lives, which was really cool. But so in the park, her sister, my now sister-in-law, married us. And I didn't ask her to do this. So she goes, I'm going to... After she, we say I do and everything, and go through the whole spiel, she goes, I'm going to play part of the audio because we don't have all the wedding video yet, but I was sent this, and perhaps you saw this online. Many of you did, and I was a little shy sharing it. It's interesting, and this is how I feel why I love Guns N' Roses, because I feel I relate to Axl and Slash in this way, where I'm kind of shy, yet I do what I do. You kind of just do it. So I posted us getting married. And the reason being, again, not about me. I'm not blowing up your timelines with wedding photos or anything like that, but her sister, my sister-in-law, who was presiding over the wedding and got ordained to marry us, decided to end with a quote from the infamous Guns N' Roses, as she put it. And this is what she said.
If she's somewhere near me, I hope to God she hears me. There's no one else who could ever make me feel I'm so alive. I'd hope she'd never leave me. Please, God, you must believe me. I've searched the universe and found myself within her eyes. So, with these public promises, vows, and the symbolic exchange of rings, by the power vested in me, by the Universal Life Church, and the state of New York, I now pronounce you husband and wife.
I was just trying to fight back, bursting out laughing the entire time. Getting married to this I love. Did not expect that. But that her sister knew. Everybody knew that's just part of my life. And listen to those lyrics from Axl Rose. How appropriate. So it was just a great day. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky for all of you. Again, periodically throughout the day, I was checking my social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and just the amount of, well wishes. It just meant a lot to me, So just thank you very much. And it was cool just to also see that from, listeners and former guests of the show. Jeffrey Rouse from Loaded and Ernie C from Body Count. Just cool. Made me feel good. So thank you all very much again. And now that this kind of wedding is behind us, next phase, because again, I'm not, going full tilt with the episodes until like my tooth situation is fixed again. Sorry if I repeat myself, but I'm getting the screw in for my implant in my front tooth in August. So I just don't want to sound like Cindy Brady, Sorum sold cocaine. I don't want to sound like I don't have my tooth in. Oh yeah, in the wedding I had my fake tooth flipper in for the pictures, but even for the vows I took it out, just like I do in the interviews. It just Shauna, I just didn't want to sound like that. Shauna, I love you. I know I'm exaggerating. It's not that bad. But what's to come, though, what's interesting is we're going to be moving and this pertains to the podcast and everything. So, again, not just talking about myself, but we're going to be moving into a new apartment, hopefully in the next few months. The reason why I mentioned that, now that I know I do these shows from home for the most part and record for the most part, because I'm still not really feel my quarantine. But ever since the quarantine happened, I would do most of these podcasts from my home studio at home, which it's kind of like a makeshift. It's right now on top of an IKEA table, and as like my cats always jump on it. It's half a room. So in this new apartment, I should have like my own kind of office and build something. So I'm hoping for that, to be able to build something, maybe invest into, like a better camera, just to really make the show even better going forward, which is always the goal anyway, to make the whole product going better going forward. So I also will say, while all the videos, they live pretty much on our YouTube channel, I post them everywhere, but the videos are always easily accessible on our YouTube channel, so please follow and subscribe. But I've also added a new playlist. We'll see how long this lasts, but it should, because, YouTube copyright policies, sometimes things get weird. Remember when my Twitter got suspended for sharing my own video? So it left me with a bad taste in my mouth with sharing concert videos, even though I'm allowed. You see everyone this summer posting Guns N' Roses concert videos. So I've uploaded not just the live debut of Hard School when I was there in Baltimore. So that is now up on YouTube. It's been on Facebook, but just easily found on a playlist on our YouTube channel. But also some old Velvet Revolver clips. They're short. They're not the best because it was back in the days with the BlackBerry. But I have a couple of short videos when I went to go see them in West Palm Beach, and also already uploaded some clips from Axel DC in New York City. But what I would like to do, and actually I will give a shout out to a listener for this idea, because I was just going to start maybe uploading some of my old videos, which is what I've been doing. And there's not a ton, but just to put a place where they all live and you can all check them out. And it's cool. Like here's the Appetite for Distortion YouTube page. Here's all his live experiences. I mean, how many of you have seen Guns N' Roses? Depending upon what version is another question. But also Velvet Revolver. Okay, I know there are plenty of you, but Velvet obviously around for only a few years, and Axel DC. That's an interesting trifecta, because we knew that's lightning in a bottle. That did not continue. So whatever, it's okay. But we'll I'm just curious. How many of you, again, reply to me, however you want to reply to me. Have you seen Guns N' Roses? I'm sure it's yes. What version? Velvet Revolver, and AC/DC with Axl Rose, like me. Can you do that? Okay. So I want to give credit. He commented on my AC/DC with Axl Rose Dirty Deeds clip. So Ryan Walsh. Okay, dude, this is amazing. Good thing it's not Twitter. The videos might last a bit longer before they're taken down. LOL. I'm just going to say again, they cleared, YouTube's copyright policy. It's like sharing copyright rights with the owner. It's, it's legit unless, I don't know if there's, unless the algorithm, when you post videos and things that it looks for, it's pretty spot on. And with Twitter, I'm being more cautious. But again, now I'm officially over the amount of followers I had with my last account. So officially, I'm back. I'm back, but still keep following at the AFD podcast. Anyway, he continues. I wonder if you would be able to do a live GNR concert footage playlist thing, this channel, without a hassle. So we'll see. I'll do it slowly. Again, I haven't come across anything technically. YouTube's been good. You know, I look out for any warnings. I'm not going to... I go by the rule, when in doubt, leave it out. I've taught that. I've learned that, especially in radio. So we'll see. That would be really unique if maybe some AFD pod fans live concert footage is posted. So which happens, that you will send me videos. It's happened on this leg of the tour. Like Rebel, who was on our Portugal review, sent me some videos, including the live debut of Street of Dreams. Yes, I'm sure you know that by now. That debuted in Prague, I believe. So Rebel, who was on for our Portugal review, also went to Prague. He took a video. I shared it on Facebook. And yeah, so I haven't put it up on YouTube yet, but I guess that's kind of the line of thinking. So I take, Rebel's videos or some of the old videos that Ray from the UK sent me when I had those, what did I call them? Like beat reporters, AFD beat reporters. Remco from Amsterdam, from the Netherlands. Actually, Guns N' Roses are in the Netherlands now, and they debuted another live song, new song this tour. Well, excuse me, not new. I don't want to say it like that. A new in the set list. Sorry, that's it. I wasn't just apologizing. So now, what are people saying about they've changed the set list, and it's still early in the tour. They're playing things they haven't played. I mean, Street of Dreams, Slash and Duff have never played that. That they added back Sorry. If you're Canadian, Sorry. They're adding, they're moving around songs. It's, Absurd and Hard School aren't always back to back. They're fucking with the set list. Yeah, if you still want to complain, like I posted a Twitter poll recently, like, what? Just these two songs, what do you prefer? Pretty Tied Up or Bad Obsession? My answer is yes, both. But the reason I bring that up is, could they take out two covers and add in two originals? Sure. But I'm not going to complain what they're doing. They're playing 3.5 hours. If they want to play a couple covers or three or whatever, let them do it. He's still nailing it, man. Axel's looking skinny. He just looks good. Sounds good, band's tight, and it's just it's really exciting. So yeah, Ryan, I want to give you credit. So perhaps if this, as I slowly build this and unleash this part of my my YouTube channel, that could be a really fun and unique thing to do. And he goes, Barandoing your podcast with events and news, which is kind of what I've been trying to do. It's hard when you're a one-man band kind of thing, which it was easier with Ian getting news and stuff at the beginning. I will admit that. I've become really reliant on just, interviews. News comes and goes very quick. If this was if I always did this podcast once a week, or especially if it was every day, news all the time, especially now that they're touring, news. But I'm going to give you as much as I can. So especially when I'm not posting interviews in your normal podcast, wherever you find them, iHeartRadio or iTunes or Spotify, check YouTube channel. So I will add things there, whatever I can. I don't want to go completely news. That's other people's, that's like GNR Central's job. It's not my job. The news I give is reporting it, during the interview, like breaking news. I like that stuff. Or news that we can talk about amongst ourselves. That's the kind of news I like. I don't always like doing the solo thing where I'm just talking to a mic like I have been. But it's been a while since I've done an episode, and they've debuted against Sorry and Street of Dreams. So I needed to talk about that at least. And also, again, thank every single one of you for the wedding. I mean, that was the main reason I wanted to chat with you after the interview with Derek, because I don't want to waste your time with that again. Moving on. It's like, we're married. Now what? Now what do we do? But what I did do, I'll tell you this, and more relation to, of course, the podcast 6 Degrees of GNR Bacon and how it's infiltrated my life. So Buckethead coming to New York. Yes, Praxis. They haven't played together. Him, Brain, and Bill Laswell are playing a couple shows, I believe in July, August. I know they go on sale tomorrow as I'm recording this, so hopefully you'll see me online saying that I got Buckethead tickets. Hopefully. So I did reach out to Brain again. So here's something else about me. And you probably know this, and I mentioned it, kind of tying it into why I like Axon Slash, is that I'm naturally a shy person. I naturally think, oh, I might have done something wrong. I might have upset somebody. I don't know. That's perhaps the Seinfeld in me. How does anybody not like you? So Brain, I also know, isn't the most technically savvy person. Just going back from the beginning, it wasn't always smooth. I would hear back from a week later, months later, but it always worked out. So I think the last time I texted him, I said, I hope I'm not bothering you. I really would love to chat with you again. I don't know if Melissa is still a possibility. If she can't, I completely understand. I still would love to talk to you again. Didn't hear back. And it's got me thinking, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I fucked up by saying what happened with Guns N' Roses management. And I've already done this story, episode 300. But to kind of just really summarize it, that I was told by Brain, and also the Mark from Golden Robot Records, that Fernando told Melissa, Dizzy, Frank, Richard, not to do any more unapproved interviews not approved by him, and that I was specifically mentioned. I initially took that so personally and wondering why, because I'm just not, as I mentioned earlier again, I'm not a clickbaity person. I don't think I'm an asshole. I do right by my guests, I think. But I know there are a lot of clickbaity sites that follow me and make news out of what I talk about. And with new music, I know for whatever reason, it's a sensitive subject with Axl Rose, with the band, with the management. It's just they're being cautious. And it's not just their management. It's not just Team Brazil. It's all management. I know this. Like, it's not just them. It's shitty, that management. Like, if I ever became a manager like this, I don't know. Sometimes I wouldn't talk to people the way some people, like some managers talk. Like, another quick sidebar. Since I do a 6 Degrees of GNR Bacon, as you know, I tried reaching out and getting an interview with the Bacon brothers, Kevin Bacon's band with his brother. And it was like a month ago. Kind of got a nice response from, I guess, who was the manager or a rep saying, oh, thanks for reaching out. We'll see if they like GNR. And I saw they're coming around New Jersey. So I'm like, okay, they're going to be local. I'm on Q1043.com, which is in the tri-state area. Maybe, this could help sell some tickets. And he writes back. He's like, the Bacon brothers don't have enough hours in the day to do all the press that they are asked for. Really appreciate it, but they don't like Guns N' Roses, and it's on the opposite end of the musical spectrum. And I'm just like reading this. I'm like, what the fuck? Did all of that really need to be fucking said? It could have been like, thanks, no thanks, or they don't have time right now. That means you don't get it. Who knows if he even told Kevin Bacon about it? So I don't hold this against Kevin Bacon, which is a sentence I never thought I would say. But like, what the fuck, bro? So I post that just to let managers know. Like, sometimes, you know what? Maybe you might not be a manager too much longer. Because if public relations is a big deal. I mean, not like Kevin Bacon needs me. Whatever. I'm just annoyed. It's just like, why do you got to talk to me like that? I write a professional email. Don't be a dick. Anyway, so no 6 Degrees of GNR Bacon with Kevin Bacon, I guess. I don't know. Maybe one day. Just like how I wasn't supposed to get Dirty Honey. Another example, because they toured with Slash, and also they're worried about Wolfgang Van Halen because he toured GNR, and this was not through Team Brazil, but through their management, and I eventually got them both. So we'll see. But in regards to Brain, I don't know. I thought maybe, again, if you listen back to episode 300, it's not like when I was told this information, I just went and on the podcast and shouted it from the rooftops. No, I let time go by, and just, I think over time, just having opportunities, I believe, taken away from me for no reason. Like knowing, again, Melissa, I was told Melissa wants to come on the podcast. You know, her and Brain were talking about it. Or I see Slash out there doing all those interviews for the new album, and I don't know what to say. Like, it just bummed me out. I'm like, am I ever going to get an opportunity to interview Slash? You know, Duff. It was a different manager that canceled that interview with me when he was promoting Tenderness. It just, again, bummed me out. So I just like letting people know what I deal with. And I tell you, you can say, hey, Brandon, you're taking this too personally. Or, you know what, that's a shitty way that person handled this. So I just put it out there. Here's what I deal with. Especially when you're like, oh, have you interviewed so-and-so? Like, I got it recently with, have you interviewed Craig Duswalt? No. He said no. That's it. He just said, no, thanks. What else can I say to that? If you say no, you say no. That's fine. Just, oh, Kevin Bacon's too busy. No shit. He's Kevin fucking Bacon. I know. You can just say no. Do I need to be told that? Anyway, so with Brain, he did get back to me because he didn't respond to that text when I just hit him up, and I was like, oh shit, maybe he is upset. But I'm thinking, like, it's Brain. Does he really give a shit? Like, even on his radar, does he even still remember me? So when I saw that Praxis, the Buckethead show is being announced, especially since it's in New York City, I'm going to try to go. I mean, if I have Brain's phone number, why would I not reach out to him and maybe even try to meet him? I don't even know what that would be like at all with COVID protocol. So that's just me thinking out loud. But Brain did respond, and I'll tell you what he said. Yo, dude. I love it. He always does that. No, I say that always because I barely talk to the guy. I get to hit him up maybe once a year just to stay in touch because he's probably the most positively reviewed guest on this podcast, like him and Alan Niven and Doug Goldstein. Yo, dude, no, man, you're not wearing me out. I actually totally spaced out and thought I had texted you back. Very Brain answer. Anyway, yeah, I'd like to come back on at some point. Let me ask Mel if she's completely out. So Brain would like to come back. I know Melissa or Mel would like to be on the podcast, but perhaps she can't be. And so this goes into, and here's an interesting thing. It goes into those non-disclosure agreements, which I understand. I mean, what am I going to ask Melissa Reese, really, that would violate her NDA? But I'm sure when you're someone like Axl Rose or a lot of these celebrities at that level, they've just been sued a lot. They've been in situations where they've been taken advantage of, and they just got to cover their asses. So there's certainly an absolute part of me that gets it. I do. I don't have my head in the sand. I'm a professional. I'm an adult. I get that part of it. Why you hear when Justin Bieber is throwing a party and people have to put their phones in a fishbowl or sign NDAs. Like, I get it. I do, but I'm not Howard Stern. I'm not going to ask you any of that shit. That's going to violate an NDA. That's why when I couldn't get the harp player from Prostitute from an NDA, because of an NDA, I'm like, what the fuck is with this band? So maybe Melissa has an NDA and she, I get it. Why would she want to rock the boat with her ex, who recently... Melissa's great on social media on Instagram that Axl sent her a Whopper, a Burger King Whopper, which I guess she couldn't get in a certain country, and she was just very happy. How is she rail thin when all she eats is fast food and candy? I want that. I kind of have that metabolism. I have a belly though. I'm not quite as much of a stick as Melissa Reese. So hopefully Brain comes back on the podcast either way. No pressure, no rush, but it was really awesome to just hear back from him because I got paranoid. I'm like, damn, man, what a great guest, what a cool guy, and that I overstepped my bounds, but I'm just being honest. I got to be honest at a certain point, and again, I understand where management is coming from a degree, and I think it's good to talk these things out, especially when I hear nothing back ever. I've been doing this podcast for 6 years, and not that I ever expected to interview anybody from Guns N' Roses, past or present. But with the management, with this out there, I just would have hoped at least something now, like an understanding, being like, okay, I'll back off kind of thing. But nothing. So until I'm told directly, I'm going to keep moving forward. Couple other notes as I finish this long-ass soliloquy at the end of this episode, but I guess I wanted to talk to all of you. So eager. Couple interviews coming up. Oh, before I get to that, I guess. Steve Jones, unfortunately, is canceled. I do not know why. I'm kind of like the third party in that. I was talking to somebody who was talking to their part. I have no details as to why. See, these things happen. Bummed out. It was kind of like, I thought it was going to happen. It's going to be on this day or that day. Then it's no days. Hopefully in the future. That's all I can say. That kind of bummed me out, but regardless. So these are confirmed for now. Derek Day from Classless Act. He has been on the podcast before, if you remember when I had on Roberta Freeman and Friends. It was her and Teddy Zigzag and Derek Day and forgive me, another Derek. He plays with Gwen Stefani and Shania Twain all the time. Forgive me, I forget his last name, but it was when Roberta did the cover of I Wish You Were Here, and they were all in that song. So Derek, it was like a nice 5-panel episode that was fun. So he's been on in that situation, but we're going to talk to the lead singer of Classless Act live from the road with Joan Jett and Poison and Def Leppard and Motley Crue. So that's going to be really cool because what a major tour. So we're going to talk to them. It might be the first people or person to talk to Derek from the road and get that experience. They have a new song out with Vince Neil. So that's going to be fun. Derek's a really cool guy, and I'm glad to have him on the podcast solo. And also going to have the Lit Brothers on. We've had two Lit guys on before. We had AJ Popoff and Kevin Baldus, the bassist, but now we're going to get on the brothers. That I think is going to be a lot of fun coming up. And also, as I put out there on social media, I want to do more reviews. It's been difficult because of just the part of the world the Guns N' Roses are in right now, coordinating times. And, of course, I was a little bit busy with a wedding. But now things are a little, I kind of plant my feet a little bit more. Please keep reaching out. I know there are a lot of you have reached out as far as England shows and South American shows. Keep hitting me up. So there will be more coming. And let's just say, hey, I didn't know I could do this. I went to Warsaw, and even though that already happened, come on, I would still do a Poland review. That would be a lot of fun, I think, especially since I'm mainly Polish. I've never been. I've always wanted to go to Poland, and especially, to see. That's what I really love about this other side of the world, to these places that I've always wanted to go to, and Guns N' Roses is there, and that's truly special. And I get to live vicariously through all of your photos and pictures and hopefully more reviews coming up. So that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. When will you see the next one? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, you'll see it, I don't know, as soon as the word.
Thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home.